You will own nothing and be happy. You've heard this line before, but how will it impact you? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In today's video, I'm going to explain the practical elements of how this is being implemented right now today. You don't have to wait for a future. It's not some sort of theory. I'm going to tell you about how it's going on. At the same time, we also have to talk about the ceiling. There is a ceiling in order to explain how things happen. And the way that we can see people right now experiencing inflation, there's a ceiling and how they deal with that. Let me explain. As we look at Jerome Powell saying to everybody publicly with a straight face, I want to assure the American people that we are fully committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal. This is 2024. He's telling everybody that. We're going for a 2% goal. Here it is in black and white. Of course, we know that this isn't the case, that they are not going for 2% and they are trying to inflate your currency away. Confetti rains from the skies. Why would they do this? Why would they actively want to? Well, some people say that it's because there's a lot of debt and they want to inflate it away. Sure, that's the fact. But if you look at how much debt there is today, if it's 34 trillion, maybe you're watching this 6 months from now and it's 38 trillion, who knows? The point here is that this debt being inflated away doesn't really help the elite of the world. You see, that's who they are actively trying to support. Not necessarily the government and not necessarily, wealthier people, the 1%. They're trying to help the few, and those few love debt. Debt is the tool of control. Let's dig in a little further. Remember the ceiling, okay? Millennials are on course to become the richest generation in history. Why? They say generational transfer of wealth, largely built up in the property market, is going to help them get a lot of cash. Their parents are going to go off to greener pastures, and they are going to be able to reap the rewards of that. We don't know what that will be worth at that moment in time and what are they selling for and anything else. But ultimately, there's a lot of cash there, a lot of equity there that's going to get passed down potentially. And so millennials will be able to benefit. But what are the prices of homes at that point? How much debt have they incurred themselves? What are they going to spend that on? Are they going to burn it on, vacations and non-flat screen TVs or something? Or are they going to take it and immediately buy their own home? Let's say there's 2 siblings. Let's say there's 3 siblings. They split that home. And now what are they doing with it? That's the ultimate question. But they're saying, hey, they're going to be getting a lot of cash. At this point, millennials, Gen Z, all the younger generations are not doing well overall because of the debt load, because of how expensive things are. We are seeing people that are staying at home for longer. All right. That age keeps getting pushed off. They're not getting married. That's getting pushed off. Everything's getting pushed off because stuff is too expensive. Things culturally are changing and many other reasons as well. Look, there are people out there that are willing to pay $40 for a martini. The $40 martini is in, and it's giving loud luxury. Loud luxury. So there's a few different things. What I've seen, the different trends and things. Loud luxury is the one that's saying, hey, I paid $40 for this. I thought there was a little bit of this with that guy with the salt, and they would charge the steaks that were like something ridiculous, $1,000, $1,500, all these different things. People would show their receipts online and say, hey, and it wasn't even good. That was part of it, I feel. It's like, I paid $1,000 for this meal and it wasn't even good. It's like you just burn that money away. But of course, that's what we saw. Was that 2020 timeframe? I don't know. Crazy time anyway. But part of that is what we're seeing here, that people are spending money and they're being loud with it. It's not quiet. It's not hidden. It's not, hey, I'm making money and I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to build my business and I'm going to help my family. I'm going to help my neighbors. I'm going to do everything and I'm going to keep it down low. No. In this case here, it's, hey, I'm doing this and I'm going all out. I'm going to wear all these flashy things. Like, look, this sweater that I made that says the word money on it. that I've You could see how worn out it is. Yeah, we're going luxury right here, baby. All right. I don't know, but that's what's happening now. Some people are living it up. Maybe they're using the credit cards. Maybe they're using the buy now, pay laters. But some people are doing well. Well, then we have this other side of the equation. Canada's unhinged housing. 25 students living in the basement, room for rent with bed in kitchen. Crazy, right? But this is what's going on. You've got some people that are saying, hey, international students come in. They know the people, obviously, through some channel or another. This is not allowed. They bring them in. They say, here's the deal. You guys are all in the same circumstance. You're going to live in here and don't say anything, cash under the table. That shows you that something is broken. It's a broken system. And there are people that are willing to spend $40 on a martini, and there are other people that are basically living side by side. Now, I know a lot of people back in the day, let's call it 50s and 60s, who, different circumstances, they were coming over, they were moving into Canada, and they would say, all right, here's the case. You're a new worker into the country. You're going to live in this place here. There's a small fee associated with that. You're going to get a place to live. And if you want a meal, we can do that plan as well. Here's the cost. And then you're going to go out and you're going to work in construction. You're going to go work in driving a truck or whatever the case is. And that happened for a while. And those people then were able to move out and then were able to afford it. That channel now, the chance of you living in these circumstances and then being able to move up a level doesn't happen too often now. It's hard to move up a level. Very difficult. So a lot of people, they want to, maybe I could become a doctor, maybe I can become an engineer and a lawyer, and so then I can move up a level. But for most people, they can't do that. That doesn't happen. And so they end up becoming what we have in a lot of developing nations or third world countries, where there's a very, very big divide in between the haves and the have-nots. Doesn't it sound like some kind of what we have today? And so there always is this ceiling from what people are able to afford, because of course it can only go so far. Your money that's being devalued, Jerome Powell, I talked to you at the beginning, 2%, right? It's a little bit more than 2%, isn't it? Well, they are actively making it more difficult for you, and slowly but surely, they're burning you. How does that make you feel? Let me know. Serious. How does that make you feel? Look at the inflation levels. As you can see, potentially a resurgence in inflation. Depends how you want to look at it. Are you measuring it month over month? Are you measuring year over year? Are you measuring it in real terms? Like, all these things matter. But the point is, some levels of inflation, how we measure that, have started to go up again. And that is a big concern, not just for the fact that, they might have to keep interest rates higher for longer, as they've been talking about, but it also is a burden on people and the amount that they're borrowing. Of course, that's a problem, right? And so what happens is people start making decisions. They start saying, hey, I gotta do something else because I can't pay these bills. I can't afford this. You could see this. Women are turning to robot manicures so they don't have to tip their nail tech. All right. So the price of these things apparently had gone up. So places that were charging 25, then started charging 30, then started charging 35. Okay. And these are examples. Okay. I'm just throwing numbers, but they increased it over like 2020 to 2021 and beyond. They're like, hey, let me just try it. And they did it and they got away with that. But of course, people are saying, man, if I do something else about this, I would. And so in this example here, they are saying, hey, a machine's going to do a pretty good job for me. I might as well just go to the machine. Robots. Now, it's high-paying jobs. It's not fantastic stuff, right? But still, if the robot's going to do a pretty good job, like if it can do a 9 out of 10 job, why not? Why not? And I think they were talking about 1/3 the cost So, hey, what does that mean? It means you're now going to be able to take that money and put it towards your energy, put it towards your food, put it towards your home, maybe put it towards an investment account. If you're not going to give up on the nail thing totally, which of course that's one thing, but just like we see with the lipstick, when they talk about lipstick index or lipstick indicator, is basically like, hey, if people can't afford something lavish, they're still willing to buy themselves something small. In the case that they use example of lipstick, hey, I can make myself feel good. So they'll buy something for that, $10, $20. I don't know what it costs, but they'll buy that. So in this case here, they could reduce their cost, still get what they want, and be able to, pivot, as they like to say. The American Southwest is finally starting to embrace vertical living and saying building codes are changing and so on, where typically it would be all single family homes. But now they're saying, like, if we could squeeze people together, well, then we could find more affordable places for people. A lot of the cities are trying to find affordable housing, and that's what people are doing. Maybe they want to live in a single family home, but they just can't do it, so we stack them up real high. And so in this case here, I would say be mindful of this and watch what happens in the trends. What's going on? Co-op housing, people living, whether that is an illegal circumstance or not, but the dormitory living, and I've seen people say, hey, that's fine. People should live in dorms. Other people wouldn't agree with that. They would say, I don't think that's reasonable. We do what we have to do, obviously. But this is what's going on. So more and more people are being pushed in smaller territory. It reminds me a lot of like a Hunger Games type scenario. People getting squeezed in and ending up with less. You will own nothing and be happy. But it doesn't happen. The reason you can't see it is because that it doesn't happen in one generation. A lot of times it takes, like, if you really zoom out, you could see what's happening. The world in 2050. So looking out into the future, what do we see? What are the changes? Robot workers. This is basically talking about just the changes. Okay, this is not official. Let me make that clear, okay? What they're talking about here in this article is the suggestion that in Europe, they will basically say vehicles that are not electric vehicles, okay, internal combustion engine vehicles, ICE, these vehicles, we won't allow any major repairs to be done to them. So if you need a new transmission, that's it. Car's getting scrapped, okay? And that's how they'll forcefully phase them out. So they just be less and less and less and less and less, okay? And that's it. And they'll be doing other things. They'll incentivize people to get the electric vehicles at the same time that they'll disincentivize you by putting taxes on the internal combustion engine vehicles. You see what they're doing here? You see what's happening here? Is it better? Is it more efficient? Is it going to be the best thing in the world? Right now, a lot of people are realizing, hey, when there's like a really, really cold day, suddenly that electric vehicle doesn't charge properly. That's not good. Okay. And what about when everybody's using the demand is super high and all that? Yeah, there's problems. And so now they're just going to force it, whether you like it or not. You see, that's what's going on at this time. And I think that is a big concern. So watch out for that. They're going for it, seemingly, whether you like it or not. Humanoid robot startup Figure AI, valued at $2.6 billion. Bezos, OpenAI, NVIDIA joined the funding. Microsoft is in on this. Brian Johnson is in on this. They're all getting on this one company. Very unusual how they're all doing it. I watched the video of this company if you haven't seen it for yourself. It's interesting. It's about the same as the others from what I gathered and what I got. But it was just something odd, to say the least. Okay. So I don't know what's going to happen here with this company, but I do see one after the other, all getting into robotics and automation, and they are trying actively to replace jobs. And so you will have very little in the end of this. You see what's happening. So we go for the inflation. They're creating the inflation. They're trying to do this intentionally. They're putting the squeeze on people. At the same time, you've got to live with less and less and less and less. What are people able to afford? Some people are living the good life at $40 martinis. Other people, they got to go and get squeezed. So there is a ceiling on this. We can see it happening right before our very eyes, and it's going on today. Do your best to squeeze your bottom. What I mean by that is any expenses that you incur that you don't need, get rid of them. Take that money and put it where it's needed most. At the same time, we want to increase our top line. How do we do that? I personally talked about this. I have playlists on my YouTube channel you can check out. Next thing is what I talk about on the Sunday live sessions. Sunday live sessions where for 2 hours every single Sunday I teach people how to build a business online. That's, in my opinion, the number one way. That's the number one way. You could get into investing. We talk about that on the Friday sessions as well. I hope that you'll join me on those. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. I appreciate that when you do. Check that link out in the description. I break it down. I have a whole explanation there of how those things work. The Friday session, the Sunday session. There's no contracts or anything. I hope that you'll join me on there. And of course, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.